Hello everyone and welcome to GTA Online Racing episode 18 now, and basically in this video I'm going to be talking about the business DLC update and basically talk about the new cars and the update itself. But the first two races in this video are from the subscriber lobby, and I will be using those subscriber races in various racing videos and things like that around the channel. I won't be doing a dedicated live video for it, but I will be using the races every so often. I just want to say at this point, thank you to everyone who came out for that subscriber lobby. It was a lot of fun. I really appreciate that people want to come out and play with me. I know that we only got sort of a 2-hour long session with each of you because there were so many people and we just did some races and no free roam stuff. But thanks a lot for coming and playing anyway. I really appreciate it. So on to the topic at hand, and that's the business DLC. And in my opinion, this is one of the best DLCs that we've had for GTA so far. And that's not just because of the content, it's because of the patch as well that came with it, and some of the updates we got from there. So I'll start by talking a little bit about that and how the things that we got with that. So I just want to run through a few of the updates that we got that were to do with racing, because there was quite a few in this update, and they're quite interesting and I would say definitely positive for those of us who like to race. So first of all, fixed an exploit where players were able to give their vehicles nitrous boosts. Obviously that was always going to happen. I'm very happy about that. I never actually owned a nitrous car, I never used one, but the fact that people were using them in races was just game breaking. So they've obviously fixed that, and that's absolutely fantastic. A second one is catch up is now turned off in races when only one checkpoint remains. Now, obviously everyone knows how much I hate catch-up, and most of us probably don't use it, but still this improves the racing experience for those who do use it. Now you can't just wait behind someone in races with catch-up on and then get them right before the finish line. You have to actually make a move before then, so catch-up is turned off before the finish line. So that's a decent positive move for racing in general, even though it won't really affect my races in any way. Next one, fixed an issue where a version of the Sanchez did not have all of the modding options available to it. Now, I've mentioned this before, the Sanchez is the fastest off-road vehicle and you could mod it up, but you could only mod the liveried version, so the one with all the sponsors on and things like that. The one where you could choose your colour and all that kind of stuff, you couldn't actually put all of the performance modifications on it. Now you can, so that's great. It adds a bit of extra choice to the matter when you want to have a Sanchez for racing, so that's fantastic. The next one, if a race is locked to a Sanchez model, the player will now be able to pick both the normal and livery version of the Sanchez. So again, for races with the Sanchez, we now have an option of what to choose, and it generally just improves the racing experience overall. But the biggest one and the best one by far is this one. The option to turn off slipstreaming in races has been added. That is fantastic. I was so happy when I saw that. In fact, I saw it on the race lobby that slipstream you could turn it on and off before I saw the patch notes. Oh my, I was so happy because I was going to create a video about slipstreaming and explain sort of how best to use it, and also why it isn't a great mechanic. It's not too bad. It is a bit more realistic than catch-up, but the slipstreaming itself, when you were with people who were sort of on the same kind of level as you, just got ridiculous, because you would be able to say you were half a tenth quicker than someone around a corner. It didn't matter because they would just pick up the slipstream behind you and then get back onto your tail. So the fact that they've now removed slipstreaming altogether, well, giving you the option to remove slipstreaming, is brilliant. It just makes, if you want a pure race, it just makes it so much more possible. And for those of us who like to have those pure races and like to not have any sort of other distractions like GTA, catch up, we just want to be in that racing situation, it's fantastic. It's just absolutely brilliant. And it also means that when you try to overtake someone, it's going to be based on how skillful you've done it, not that you've just slipstreamed past someone. And it would definitely widen the gap between the better guys and the worst guys, and I think that's a good thing. We should have that sort of thing for those of us who like to race properly. Just a point there, I actually completely messed up there on that race and gave up the lead there, but there you go. Everyone makes mistakes, I suppose. So yeah, slipstreaming, that's one of the best things. That's probably the best feature that I've seen from any update on GTA Online ever since they've brought the game out. So I'm so happy about that, and I can't wait to get into some real good races with slipstream turned off and catch up turned off, obviously. So now on to the main topic of the business DLC, and that is the extra content. In particular, the 3 new cars. Now, the 3 new cars are all very nice. There's some really nice modifications for especially the Jester. I mean, the racing modifications for the Jester just make it look so good. Even the Turismo seems to have a lot more modifications than most of the other supercars. The Alpha has fair few modifications as well. And in terms of pace, they're all very good. Now, as you've obviously, at this point, you should have seen the update video for my fastest vehicles in GTA 5. If you haven't, check the link down in the description to see that. But yeah, the vehicles that we've been given, the cars that we've been given, are very solid. They're very quick, but they aren't enough to overhaul the Entity or the Elegy, unfortunately. Those cars are definitely still top dog by quite a way, and I'll explain why that is in a short while. But first of all, I'll talk about the Alpha. The Alpha really surprised me, I have to say. I wasn't expecting it to be. I wasn't expecting it to even get into the top 10. I thought it would be a sort of on the pace of the Banshee and the Fusillade, maybe even not that quick. And for it to be pretty much bang on the same pace as the Corvette is quite impressive, especially for such a big car. And really, I do wish it was a coupe. I really wish they'd just put it in the coupes class, because the time it got is pretty much the same as what the Exemplar got. So we would actually finally have 2 different cars to choose from in the coupes class, rather than just the Exemplar being far and away the best. But, what can you do? They decided to make it a sports car, unfortunately, but never mind. It's still a very nice car in general, and that was one that really surprised me. But what about the other 2? Well, the Jester is a very, very nice car, especially when it's stock. When it's in its stock version, it's easily the second quickest sports car in the game. It does rival the Elegy in terms of performance. It can get pretty close to it. But the problem with it is that it just lacks the traction that the Elegy has. I mean, no sports car has the traction that the Elegy has. But in terms of the traction that the Jester has, it's a little bit less than some of the other sports cars as well. And that is what hinders it, especially when it's fully modded. So when it is stock, it has really good balance, and getting it around those corners is really easy, and you can go really quick. It's wonderfully balanced. But as soon as you put all the modifications on it, it does lose that speed, and that's because it doesn't have the traction to cope with those extra modifications as well as some of the other cars. Now, I've mentioned this before, that when you fully upgrade the cars, traction becomes even more important, because it just means that you can take those corners much quicker. When you don't have them modified, the cars don't really get up to the kind of speeds where the traction is going to make a huge difference. I mean, it still does make a big difference, but other things can sort of override that. But when they are fully modded, traction does make the biggest difference, and because the Jester just has a little bit less than some of the other sports cars, it does bring it down a little bit, and it does tend to understeer a little bit around the corners, which can be a bit of a problem. So when it is fully modded, it kind of brings it back down to the time where it's competing with the 9F, the Feltzer, the Comet, the Carbonizer for a little bit, I suppose. All of those sports cars really below the Elegy are pretty well balanced. The Serrano's a very quick car as well. All of those in that top 5 or 6 sports cars below the Elegy are very well balanced, and the Jester is pretty much exactly the same. It fits into that well balanced group very well, and it's pretty much on their pace as well. It's just that the Elegy, it has too much traction really, and it's just OP for that class. But yeah, the Jester is very good. It's a very nicely balanced car. You have to be careful of the understeer on it. However, that's something that I actually enjoy. I quite like that driving style. If it was on the pace of the Elegy, I would have swapped it, but because it isn't, but it would certainly be the one that I would choose, because it's the one that I enjoy driving the most out of all of the other sports cars. If the Elegy wasn't in a race, for example, if the Elegy didn't exist. So yeah, the Jester is very good, very nicely balanced, but when it gets fully modded, it brings it back onto the pace of the other sports cars really, and nothing's going to beat the Elegy at this point. So the Turismo, now that is pretty much exactly the same. The Turismo R has the same problems really. I mean, it's rear wheel drive and it's easily the quickest rear wheel drive car. It beats the Cheetah in that respect. It's basically a faster version of the Cheetah. The tail can step out on you quite a bit, so you have to be careful about that. And when it's fully modded, it does suffer from, again, its lack of traction compared to the Entity, and again it's the fact that it is rear wheel drive does hinder it when it's fully modded, because when you have the all wheel drive Adder and the all wheel drive Entity, the power that goes to the front wheels from them really does help in a lot of ways. So yeah, the Turismo, it's easily the second quickest supercar and car in the game, and I would say when stock. When it's fully modded, it kind of matches the Adder, so it kind of I tested it fully modded around cutting corners, and it got a similar time. It was only a couple of tenths slower than what the Adder managed on that crazy lap that I got in that fully upgraded video. So yeah, the Turismo R is pretty much on the same pace as the Adder around cutting corners, fully modded, but both of them are obviously no match for the Entity anyway. So yeah, the Turismo is kind of joint second, or second in stock versions, but joint second overall when fully modded as the fastest cars in the game. Fastest supercars, because the Elegy actually managed to beat the Adder anyway. So yeah, the both of the new cars that we have, the Turismo and the Jester, are very good. They're very solid cars, and you can certainly easily race with them and win with them as well. They just they don't have that absolute top level performance to match the Entity or the Elegy, and we still don't have any car that can really beat those, and it's all because of the traction levels. That's all it is. So yeah, I was really impressed by these new cars. I really like them, especially the Jester. I think the Jester is fantastic when you get all of the race modifications on it. I'm going to buy one, hopefully, if we get some more garage space. And that's another thing, if you notice when you go on GTA Online now, instead of it saying home, it actually says your address on the quick GPS system. Could that be a reason? We might have done that because we're going to be able to buy more garages and more apartments or something? Hopefully. I would love to see that. I would love to have some more garages, and probably the Jester is going to be one of the first cars that I get in those garages as well, along with all the other racing cars. So yeah, I hope this video has helped, guys. I hope the other video helped, where I actually updated the proper update video. It was amazing the amount of people who contacted me wanting me to do them. I got it out as quickly as I could, and I'll always do an update video like that when they have some more DLC cars, or if I get a chance to ever get the collector's edition cars or anything like that. I'll always put an update video up to let you guys know of any changes. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode, guys. I hope you've enjoyed. Be sure to leave a like. Let me know what you think about the new cars. Let me know what you think especially about the new changes. Hopefully the fact that we don't have slipstreaming will make the start of races a lot better now as well, because people won't get caught out by the slipstream and smash into the back of everyone else. So yeah, let me know what you think about it all, and is this the best DLC that we've had? It certainly is from my point of view, but let me know what you think from your point of view as well. So thanks a lot for watching, everyone. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.